guys, my name is Anneliese Moon, and I am here with the entire cast of Hand to God at Mad Cow Theater. First of all, for those who may not be familiar, why don't you describe the show?
It is a dark comedy about the son of a youth minister whose puppet may or may not become possessed by Satan.
It's Avenue Q and Book of Mormon and
meets The Exorcist.
Meets The Exorcist.
Yep.
What has the audience reaction been like?
Ooh.
Really positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all pretty impressed at how the audiences have responded. They're laughing at all the right moments and gasping at all the right moments.
Did any of you put on puppet shows or do any puppet things when you were younger?
I did.
You did?
I had a
that?
sweet little like puppy dog puppet, but it wasn't a rod. It was just one of those little hand
Do
puppets.
you have a name?
Oh, I don't remember it, but I loved that thing.
When I was little, we used to put on shows with our stuffed animals. And very specifically, I remembered we did a production of Seussical the Musical with our stuffed animals.
Oh.
And we would rig them, we created a fly system for them. So we had little hair ties around their waists and little strings, and we'd make them fly.
These characters are they're all super grounded in reality, but they are larger than life. What can we take away from these characters? What can we learn from these characters? What have you learned from these characters?
Wow, that's a great question.
I would say for Margery, the story is about the grief of the loss of her husband. Grief can make you do some pretty extreme things, especially when you feel isolated and alone and disconnected, which is the base of how I've created Margery. And just struggling to be seen, to be noticed, to be loved, to be forgiven. I identify with the heart of her for sure.
I think I've learned from Tyrone. I'm a person of faith, and I was wondering about how this was going to affect people of faith. And what I think it does is it makes you examine how we need to just kind of forgive and accept our human nature.
As cheesy it is to state, like, the play does have a lot of heart. I give that success to Tony a little bit in like being able to carve out the funny moments and the heart of it at the same time and have a really nice, well-balanced storyline.
As far for Jessica, a lot of characters written for my age range tend to be a little more fragile or ingenue-like. And so it's really cool to play Jessica. She is so strong and such a tough cookie. And I've learned a lot from that, as far as not being afraid to speak your mind and knowing when you are the smartest person in a room. And Jessica is not ashamed of that.
Are there any Easter eggs in the show?
Our set designer, Rob, did an extraordinary job with this set. Right there at the very end, he added 2 electrical sockets to the walls that sort of add a little bit of hyper-realism to the set. And I saw those electrical outlets and I was like, that's gotta be a nod to the original Broadway production of Hand to God. An individual thought that the set was so realistic that during intermission he climbed up on the stage and tried to plug his phone into the outlet in order to charge his phone. And that made sort of headlines across the theater.
I remember reading about it.
That someone had done that, and Rob added those 2 electrical outlets to the set as sort of a wink to that.
So please don't come on stage
Please
and try
don't
and
try
charge
to
your
charge yourself.
phone.
They're not practical, but they do look very realistic.
Yes, they do.
What do you hope the audience takes away from the show?
I hope that people take away from the show that you see what you want to see, and a lot of what you believe or don't believe can affect your outlook on something and your perspective, and sometimes taking a step back out of your own perspective to get a broader one can be healthy.
I always say that I think theater should rattle the cage, and whether people leave, inflamed with anger or with laughter in their hearts or with tears in their eyes, I think that's the point of art, is to shake us up and have us step back and look at our life and how we think is right, and to look at a different perspective and think, you know what, maybe they're both right. And for me, it's acceptance of, you don't know a person's story, you don't know what they're going through, and we're all just doing the best we can, and just to love each other.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yay!
This has been Anneliese Moon talking to the stars of
Hand to God!
Hallelujah!